How we doing, Vol Nation? This is Frank Rock. This is the House of Orange Sports Channel coming at you on a Friday night, game day eve, Tennessee, Oklahoma. My topic tonight is what's going on with this offensive line, present and future. There's a lot of questions tonight on that. But before I get any further, thank you guys so much for your just support, for supporting the channel, for liking it, for sharing it. Just the feedback that I've gotten so far on this. I really appreciate that. I thank you so much. The old YouTube spell, like, share, subscribe, notifications, do all those things as well if you like the content going on the channel. And let's get in this thing. Two big pieces of news today regarding Tennessee's offensive line as far as tomorrow night and as far as the future goes. We'll hit the present. Lance Hurd is ruled out tomorrow night against Oklahoma. Now, you may be watching this on Saturday morning. That'll be tonight, obviously. I'm recording this on Friday night, but Lance Hurd is out. I had seen earlier in the week where he didn't play last week against Kent State, and I'd seen where, well, if it was a big game, he would have played. Well, this is a big game this weekend, and as of today, he has been ruled out. He did not even make the trip to Norman this weekend. Let's not downplay this. To me, this is a big loss for Tennessee. I'm not going to sit here and say, well, it's all right. Somebody else will step up in his place. No, you don't necessarily have all the ability, or at least the proven ability on this front to be able to replace anyone. That's what we've talked about with this offensive line all along. Yeah, the top end depth of this offensive line is good, but if you start losing guys, that's not a good thing. This is not a good thing. We've seen video of what he did against NC State, being able to pull along, pancaking guys in that game. You're not going to have that tomorrow night. I'll discuss the implications of his injury after I get to the future crisis involving Tennessee. Yes, Douglas Utu. Lots of reports going on today about the status of his commitment. So, according to On3, in Tennessee's recruiting class, David Sanders Jr., number one, consensus 5-star. Your number two recruiting or commitment, at least by the industry comparison, consensus across the board is Douglas Utu. Offensive lineman, Bishop Gorman, Las Vegas. 4-star on On3, 4-star on 24/7, 5-star on ESPN, 5-star on Rivals. Steve Wilfong, Chad Simmons today put out crystal ball projections projecting Utu to flip his commitment from Tennessee to Oregon. Austin Price, VolQuest.com, says based on people he's talked to, he feels a flip is imminent. It's not good news for Tennessee. Now, is there a long way to signing day? Yes. That's why I say on here with recruiting, the only thing that's sure is the unsure. You may get a guy in the fold in this era, especially with NIL. I'm not saying this is NIL involved. I'm not saying that. But you've got to be on your game in recruiting these guys. When Utu committed, to me, it came out of the blue. I did not see it coming. And he's been committed now for close to 3 months. I've seen writers of Tennessee trying to downplay it, saying, oh, well, Tennessee's still in good shape. I don't know that there's been many of these recruitments where guys are visiting other schools where these Tennessee writers don't downplay it. It is what it is. I'll tell you like it is here, based on everything I'm reading, and some of the writers, they've told it like it was today too. But the fact that Utu's been visiting USC, Oregon surprises me being his flip. I kind of thought it would be USC, if either. So that remains to be seen as well, because he has visited there numerous times. But the bad, it does seem that, and we don't know for sure yet, as he is still a part of Tennessee's recruiting class, but it does seem that a Douglas Utu decommitment may be on the horizon, which is not good news for Tennessee. So where does, we'll talk about where he turns a minute, but let's go back to Lance Hurd here as well. Lance Hurd is out tomorrow night. Dane Davis is in. I'm not one to sit here and mince words. I'm not one to sit here and lie about it. That concerns me. I've said it on my Monday night show when Kerry Williams and I have been on there. I've said it numerous times. I don't feel this offensive line can afford to lose anyone off of it. There's a reason Davis was a walk-on. There's a reason he's a backup. I hope he proves me wrong tomorrow night. Love Dane Davis. Love what he gives for his university. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh, it'll be fine. He's a fifth-year senior. It'll be fine. He's going to have to prove it to me tomorrow night. This is the best defensive line Tennessee has faced all year. This is not a game that I feel Tennessee wants to go into shorthanded, and you're already there. So is it a combination of Dane Davis and Larry Johnson? Where does Tennessee go from there? That's kind of your guys. That's kind of who you go to in these points. There's a lot going to be on Dane Davis and or Larry Johnson tomorrow night. I would feel better with Hurd. I don't think Hurd's been perfect, but I think Hurd's ability is much greater than that of Davis and Johnson. So does Tennessee adjust at all? Do they carry on? Because Dane Davis is a veteran guy. But I think this is a big loss tomorrow night. At the same time, when I look at this, I look back to the bowl game against Iowa last year. Nico's first game at quarterback. That was as makeshift of an offensive line as I have ever seen at Tennessee. I don't know if this affects Nico tomorrow night, but at the same time, how do they go? Do they go Dane Davis left tackle, John Campbell right, or do they flip-flop them? Be interesting to see tomorrow night. Back to Douglas Utu. Kind of flipping back and forth, try to keep you here on that. The implications that if or when he decommits, that's going to drop Tennessee's signing class or their commitment class. And it's also going to leave them an offensive lineman short in this class. So where does Tennessee turn? Do they have any other targets? Because you got to think for Tennessee, you thought you were done with recruiting. You just got to keep your guys in the fold. Now that opens up a spot in this recruiting class. And you got to keep recruiting these guys over and over. Do they find some of these targets they've been after? Do they go back to the well of some people they were maybe deeper in discussions with? Do they continue to evaluate and bring new targets into the fold? Just when you think Tennessee's recruiting class is close to being full and they just have to maintain it, here this happens as well. That's why you always have to be careful when you get an out-of-the-blue commitment. If it's one you're expecting, sure, great, fine. But if it's one, it's like, yeah, all right, we're in the mix, and then a guy out of the blue decommits. You've got to be wary of those if they stick or not. That's just the nature of the beast. If you followed recruiting for any amount of time, most of the time these guys that just recruit out of the blue or commit out of the blue, it doesn't last all the way to the end. We'll see where it goes. I expect Tennessee's coaching staff to fully keep their foot on the gas, trying to keep him in the fold. But it definitely does seem that Oregon, based on projections, may be picking up Utu. So you're having the trade-off between Deson Bream, who's a tight end, who was committed to Oregon. Now he's in Tennessee's fold. If Utu goes, I mean, I don't think you want to make that decision who you trade off. You want both guys. This is a loss. This has not been a good day for Tennessee in terms of their offensive line. Could it be worse? Sure, possibly, but Not a good day as well. We'll see how it plays out tomorrow night. That's the important aspect of it. Now, how does Dane Davis hold up against a pretty stout Oklahoma defensive line? It bears watching tomorrow night for Tennessee, and something I thought was that Tennessee could match Oklahoma's defensive line. Now, I do have concerns. I do have a little more concerns on this tomorrow night. We'll see how it plays out. I still like Tennessee's chances tomorrow night. I still think Tennessee is better across the board. I don't feel there's a position that Oklahoma's better. Oklahoma has the crowd. But now, does Dane Davis step up, or does that become a disadvantage for Tennessee? Only time will tell. We'll know the answer to that in, about 21 hours, 21, 22 hours. Thank you for supporting the channel. I appreciate you checking it out, just sharing it out, becoming members of the channel, all that stuff. There is the membership tier at the end. Benefits of that are, of course, there are custom emojis on it. I released a video last night. That was a members-only video. I've got ideas for content, but it is for members-only content. If you're a paying member of the channel, I want to include you in on some content, on some discussion on the board. That is a benefit of joining the channel. And, of course, as that continues to evolve, we'll add to that as well. There is the $1 Patreon per month. And then, there is the super thanks in the bottom right corner if you want to say thanks as well. It's always appreciated. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of the evening. This is the House of Oranges, Frank Rock. Last but most certainly not least, go Vols.